Today, 70% of adolescents have drank alcohol before the age of 21, and 11% of adolescents make up the American drinking population today. So, do you still think that the minimum legal drinking age law is effective? Well, just like me, you probably realized how ineffective it really is, and you're curious to know why this is. As a 19-year-old college student who has been around the 70% of adolescents who drink, I can give you great insight to why this is and why the law is so outdated. The minimum drinking age law is superfluous to the remainder of the laws that apply to an 18-year-old in the US. Even with such a high minimum legal drinking age, we're no better than nations with lower ones. Today, I will tell you about many other rights an 18-year-old is entitled to, our outraging statistics related to alcohol, and about a beneficial solution to consider that will really help solve the issue of alcoholism. An 18-year-old can do everything and anything but consume alcohol. In the United States, on the day of your 18th birthday, you are considered an adult, where you are free and responsible enough to make your own choices. An 18-year-old can legally go to prison, can enlist in the military and go to war, can be part of a jury and decide the freedom of another person, can own a house, or even get married. The list of what an adult in the United States could do is endless, yet an adult cannot consume alcohol. An adult in the United States is responsible enough to know the difference between right and wrong, which is why they have these rights that require a great amount of responsibility. According to the law, an 18-year-old can legally go and fight in war. A veteran describes killing in war, where young soldiers in combat inevitably confront killing. They take life away from others, and in doing so, breach one of the most fundamental moral values of their society, often along with long-term consequences. So, in other words, the law claims that an adult is responsible enough and mature enough to fight for the country, use extremely deadly weapons, and end a human life if necessary. But within no circumstances can an 18-year-old adult drink a beer. An 18-year-old in the United States can also be tried as an adult, where only felons spend time behind bars. An inmate in the Florida prison, Hempstead, describes prison as a department of corruption. Where they are given air trays filled with nothing, and where the food is delivered, it might be laced with urine, feces, laxatives, medication, or cleaning chemicals. Inmates shivered and sweated through the wild, gyrating temperatures. He also complains about how having to share a cell with drug dealers and killers, where crucial beatings occurred every night that required over 150 stitches. An 18-year-old adult can be put through these horrible conditions that exist in prison, but are not responsible enough or mature enough to consume alcohol. So my question to you is, how does this make sense? And where is the relevance and logic behind what an 18-year-old can do in the United States? How is it that an 18-year-old can go to war, handle deadly weapons, and even kill someone, but not be responsible enough to drink alcohol? The truth is that there is no relevance or logic behind the MLDA in the United States. There is logic behind the rest of the laws, and it is called freedom, the freedom that we as American adults were promised. Where is the freedom and rights for the American adult behind this law? If an 18-year-old is allowed to legally kill someone or spend the rest of their lives in prison over a mistake, then why shouldn't they be allowed to drink a beer? The logic behind the law is irrelevant if we compare it to the other rights an 18-year-old possesses. It is easily shown in the country's statistics related to alcohol. Although we have one of the highest MLDAs in the world, we are no better than the ones with lower MLDAs. With 70% of adolescents drinking alcohol before they're 21, the MLDA law demonstrates to be very ineffective. The United States, compared to other countries like Italy and Germany with an MLDA of 16 or younger, have more related deaths annually. According to an article by Statista, the US has a higher rate of road accident fatalities through alcohol at 31%, while the rate in Germany is only 9%. And according to the National Institute of Alcohol, in Italy, 18,000 Italian residents died from causes related to alcohol drinking. While in the US, according to the National Institution of Alcohol, an estimated of 88,000 people die from alcohol-related deaths annually, making alcohol the third leading preventable cause of death in the US. With such a high MLDA, you would think that we would have the lowest deaths related to alcohol. How is it that a country with 16-year-old drinkers prevent more alcohol-related deaths than us? It is time that we ask ourselves how such a high MLDA has helped our country. How has this law benefited our country? Well, the truth is that it has not, because at the end of the day, we still have one of the highest death rates related to alcohol in the world, and 11% of the drinking population is still made up of underage drinkers. The law fails to make a difference, and it has been inefficient. It has saved no lives and continues to be a burden for the rest of the law enforcement, who must punish adults for underage drinking. This law exists with no purpose or relevance behind it. With no purpose or relevance behind the law, why is it expected to be followed? Alcohol has always been prohibited, but never told why, and it has become the forbidden fruit for adolescents under the age of 21. We must do more to change the way alcohol is portrayed. An important difference between the United States and countries in Europe, like Italy, is the way that alcohol is viewed. The idea of alcohol is very different from the one that we adolescents have in the United States. Alcohol is viewed as a social activity in both countries, yet with different ideals. According to an article by The Odyssey, children are eased into the drinking culture. It is normal for children and their parents to drink a beer or a glass of wine with dinner. They are taught at an early age that alcohol is something to drink casually and in moderation, not to get drunk. While in the United States, the Odyssey claims, young people especially engage in binge drinking. Their goal for drinking is to get drunk because it is glorified by adults and in movies and in social media. The issue is the way that alcohol is portrayed in our country, not the age that it legally is allowed to be consumed. Our main issue is to solve the way that alcohol is viewed in our country. Alcohol has become a forbidden fruit for adolescents because of the way that it is viewed. The first step to solving this issue is to lower the MLDA to where an adult is free to make their own alcohol-related decisions. This will remove the forbidden fruit idea behind alcohol today. Once the law is changed and drinking age is lower, and it is something accepted by our culture, it will no longer seem like a law with no relevance behind it. The second step is to just make sure that the people of America, especially teenagers, are seriously informed on the harms of alcohol abuse. Educating teenagers on the harms before they are adults can change the perspective of alcohol once again. It should be something taken seriously. Setting a higher MLDA is not the answer. We need a world with a lower MLDA and provided mandatory education for all teens on the harms of alcohol. It should be the priority and the law. Ultimately, the MLDA is irrelevant, inefficient, and has created a bad stigma in the United States. The minimum drinking age law is superfluous to the remainder of the laws that apply to an 18-year-old. And even with such a high minimum age for drinking, we are no better than the nations with lower ones. We need well thought out laws for the people, not laws that prohibit with no reasoning behind them. We need to face the truth and not ignore it. Underage drinking is happening as we speak. Lower the minimum legal drinking age in the United States.